God said, I don't warn you of your enemies. It's up to you to follow directions before destruction happens. See, people are like lepers. And see, a leper don't change their spot. Whatever the fuck they did the first time, they'll do it again if you give them a little leeway. See, people ain't gonna just change like that. You gotta let a snake be a snake. You gotta let a rat be a rat. You just can't be fucked up with them like that. Stay the fuck away from them before you come up missing on that cross. So he want to just show you who against you and who for you, but your dumb ass don't want to pay attention to the Lord. So you know what he gonna do? He gonna let the devil prevail just cause he warned you, just cause he gave you a sign that these people ain't right. All you need to do is pay attention to the signs. See, God gonna warn you of your enemies. He ain't gonna let you cross in a devil path like that. Want these people to be in your life, but they don't mean you no good. They just gonna steal from you. They gonna be jealous of you. They gonna be bitter. And see, you only as strong as your weakest link. Be strong, be smart, be wise. Don't let nobody cross you. God done showed you who your enemies. You about to win right now. Don't bring them enemies back in your life. You better pay attention. You was born in this world alone, and you gonna die alone. Finish strong. We the business.
Anti-Afro Svengalis, this is part 2 of the video. We are talking about anti-fraud warriors, the legal entity, and us making a distinction between what is real, what is fraudulent, and what is illegal. Definitely have to shout out Nino Brown. Whether you consider him straight talk, giving words of wisdom, inspiration, however you want to characterize it, never, ever leave out Nino Brown when it comes to laying down the truth. Now, what I want to do now, I want to revisit the messages that were left in part 1. I placed them in singular form here. You're going to see them for a few minutes, and then at the end of this video, I put them in singular read. So maybe it will be clearer, more clear rather, for you to see. Basically, Bernice is calling this victim bitch and F you, teasing her, taunting her about her brother's death, which was very tragic. It was something that was disclosed on YouTube. The person disclosed her brother took his own life, unfortunately. So these are the things that Bernice is using to taunt the victim. Perhaps the most excruciating taunt that Bernice is leveling towards this victim comes here. As you can see, these numbers are blocked out. First off, it says crooked teeth, have an ass bitch, or have an ass hoe, excuse me. You look like a hot pan, hit you in the face. F your kids because illiterate hoes don't, whatever. F your dad who left you, F your mom, F you. And this statement is the one that is the most outrageous. And before I tell you what it is, I want to go back to a reference point that is very much associated with this anti-fraud warrior imposter, okay, who identifies as president. You often hear the same line of communication when they're trying to express anger towards you. What you hear is, go lay down, go drink something, like drink alcohol. They've told me to go drink alcohol. Go take drugs. I've been on the receiving end of that. And now you have kill yourself. This is what Bernice is telling this victim. Kill yourself, knowing that her brother took his own life. And this is a person who comes onto YouTube and says that we are bullying her. Not only does she say kill yourself out, spelled out, she leaves it at least 2 or 3 other times, KYS. I needed to make sure you were aware of this. That is the most hands down, vile, ratchet, abusive message, taunt, harassment, and stalking. That's exactly what it is that this victim is undergoing. And here's some other examples of what this person, the quote, beautiful Bernice, imagine that, sent this person. Look at this picture. You everyday bitch. This is a photo she sent her. Thanks. Your bro will haunt you for the rest of your life. This is what she's telling her. Oh, yeah, your man tried to talk to me, but I'm taken. So these are the types of messages that Bernice is sending. But coming online and pretending to be a victim. It's absolutely galling. Re-emphasizing people, it's important to point out that behavior is originating from where? The imposter AFW president space. We don't have anything of the kind in this space. That is exclusive to that space. Let's make it clear. There's only one anti-fraud warriors, and there's another situation going on where someone is calling herself AFW president. So again, that's a legal issue that's going to be addressed. But what I wanted to make sure was clear about the distinction between anti-fraud warriors, which is a legal entity, and this fraudulent situation going on. Very interesting when you look at the associations, the types of associations. I want to talk about that. We're going to give some little history into when people don't have information, what they tend to do is make up a story. When people don't have information, what they tend to do is attach onto people who have convinced them that they have facts about something. But when they do that, they don't realize the risk they are putting themselves at because the other people aren't telling them what's really happening. The people who know what's really happening would be the anti-fraud warriors, the legal entity, not the frauds, not the imposters, not the liars, not the louse. And for the record, people have such difficulty trying to convince you that they don't know what standard meanings or even pejorative or figurative or literal speech. Louse is a contemptible person. You are a contemptible person, or you are contemptible people, if you want to put it in plural, if you sit around in a space and you make up lies about people. You are indeed a contemptible person if you go about complaining that you're being bullied online, but you are offline and you're engaging in these behaviors that I'm showing you now that Bernice was engaged in or is engaged in. Now, this is not all of what she has done. This is a perfect example of a distinction. Anti-fraud warriors do not engage in this type of behavior. We are law-abiding. Now, if somebody wants to continue to say, oh, anti-fraud warriors, they're doxers, or they doxed me, you can take legal recourse. But when people make those statements, they never bring forth any evidence. They just make the statement. What I'm doing now, I'm showing you evidence of a statement that has been repeated over and over again. Anti-fraud warriors, anti-apples Bengalis, bully. Never has brought any evidence forth. Never. And here I'm bringing you evidence of Bernice continuing to stalk an innocent victim. I'm going to give you details. Now, Bernice is not the only person that's in this scenario. There is another person that is heavily involved with situations, and they are attached to this fraud that claims to be AFW. I'm putting it singular, the fraud that claims to be AFW. All of these behaviors are originating in that space. But here you have a person complaining about how bad it is with us when you see the criminal behavior. Yes, criminal behavior. This is being dealt with right now. That behavior doesn't exist here. It exists in the fraud space of the phony AFW, who is going to be dealt with legally, which is why I don't even address, I don't go over there. You're sending me these screenshots. That's okay. The videos have been captured. That is going to be dealt with. Meanwhile, we are illustrating for you very clearly what happens when people just decide to go along with something because other people are doing it. Over here, we have limited access because people want to carry on what they're doing in other spaces. Here, that's not healthy. And as a matter of fact, let me tell you real quick how that got started. We initially got started by saying there were so many Umar Johnson spaces online where people were debating whether or not Umar Johnson was a fraud. So it started out here that there is no debate that Umar Johnson is a fraud. So we're not entertaining any of that. So if people want to come here to debate Umar, then you would not be welcome about whether or not he's a fraud, that is. We are going to be focusing on how to stop the fraud. And there are many tentacles to that. So when people came, the people insisted that the reins be tightened. It wasn't my idea. I think it's a great idea. They initially did not want people, when you're in another space, coming back. I'm like, well, why not? It doesn't make any difference. As long as a person is conducting him or herself appropriately here, we don't have any concern about what they're doing in another space. Lo and behold, that was a mistake. So people, the anti-fraud warriors, other than me, really pushed hard. No, you have people coming here pretending to be nice, but they're going to other spaces and eviscerating people and disrespecting people here. So we decided, if you don't support our mission, then you don't support our mission. But it's another thing when you go somewhere else and denigrate us. So those points were emphasized. You don't have to agree with everything we say. You don't have to be an anti-fraud warrior to come here, but we insist if you come and comment here, you will be respectful towards the people that you make comments about and to. Unfortunately, there's so much garbage going on out there. People are simply unwilling to accept that. So they come here and they want to continue. They want to fight with people. They want to carry messages, and we don't allow that. So if we were so desperate for all these huge numbers, and actually we have pretty healthy subscription, people subscribing, we're not looking to make money. The channel has never been monetized. It's never crossed my mind. I'm not looking to make money. Likewise, plenty of people have launched their channels from information that has been presented here. People have built their LLC from this channel. I don't care about that. But what I want to make sure people understand, they can't dictate what happens over here any more than I'm going to dictate what happens in their space. Case in point, people love to talk and spread lies that I am running the show over at the Smokes channel. I actually don't believe people think that. Honestly, I don't believe that. I think people are just trying to find a way to keep things going. But what I don't do, I don't hop on those other panels. That's how I stay out of that. People can say whatever they want to say. When you come here, you're going to get the truth. So let me tell you the truth about this situation and the perils associated with a fraudulent AFW. So we have a situation with this individual experienced a family tragedy. And at one point, she had some relationship with Bernice and another person. And that second person, although I have mentioned that person's name before, I'm not going to be mentioning the name. There is a specific reason why, and I'm going to tell you that in just a few minutes. There was a falling out, and Bernice has been sending these text messages. Now, am I saying that the other person didn't respond? No. The other person responded trying to get her to stop, and she will not stop. This is not even the tip of the iceberg of the text messages that she has sent. And at one particular time, the person became, I don't know, because I don't talk to this person, extremely upset and posted a message about me. You see it here, this text message. I haven't spoken about this Bernice person online other than to respond to her claims that I am a bully. But I don't go into chat rooms like people do with anti-fraud warriors, the real anti-fraud warriors, and relentlessly make comments. I don't go to those spaces. I stay where I am. If I'm going to make a comment, 98% of the time it's going to be here on this page. So whatever people do, they do. So whether Bernice got a hold of a message or a comment that I made, decided I'm somehow wrapped up in whatever, I have nothing to do with these other text messages. And there are hordes of them, hordes and hordes. And they are cruel. They are thoughtless. They are malicious. They taunt the victim, teasing the person about the manner in which the brother lost his life, and taunting the person about her husband, calling the person names, using the F word. You see, it goes on and on and on and on. Keep in mind, this is a person who is so adamant that anti-fraud warriors and anti-Afro-Svengalis are bullies. So do you see what I mean? If we're going to come on here and make a claim, you had better believe we're going to have tangible evidence. The vast majority of times that we come on with information, there's going to be documentation and proof. So the situation with this, there is a restraining order that is going to be prepared, and the victim is going to be dealing with that. So these are the things that this fraud AFW has all wrapped up in that space. That doesn't go on over here. That goes on over there. We are the law-abiding entity, and that is why we're going to take legal action to prohibit this fraud from continuing to use our initials and our name. We're not associated with criminal behavior. There's no way we're going to have our name sullied by this conduct. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Let me tell you what else is happening. There is another individual who had also harassed this victim in the form of emails and text messages after this falling out occurred. And again, I'm not going to get into what happened with the falling out because it could be distracting. Whatever the case, the victim decided she didn't want to have any communication with these people anymore. That was not acceptable. They continued to harass her. So the other person whose name I'm not going to mention, and the reason why I'm not going to mention it, because there is a criminal investigation going on. There is employment situation going on. There's administrative action pending. It is a mess. And let me repeat, that goes on in association with that AFW fraud. That person was in that space. And the reason why I'm not going to mention it, because there is a criminal investigation going on. There is employment situation going on. There's administrative action pending. It is a mess. And let me repeat, that goes on in association with that AFW fraud. That person was in that space. And it has nothing to do with me, although they continue to try to throw my name into these situations. What this other person did, and this person has a position, very clearly defined position as to adherence to the law and expectations. It's a matter of employment that this person be law abiding. This person sent emails and text messages threatening this victim that she was going to hack into her medical records. These threats were sent. They were typed in an email and they were sent to this victim multiple times. What this person was going to do. Again, the person that's making the threat is a person who has an expectation to adhere to the law. So continued sending these messages. In the meantime, the person's spouse is being harassed as well. The harassment got so bad that the victim had to switch phones with her husband. Husband continued to get these messages. Another thing this person told this victim, that she was going to set her up to be physically attacked. These are all typed messages, typed into a screen, not verbal, not he said, she said. And where do these people associate? With the fraudulent AFW. The ones that you send me these screenshots on, who want to go around talking about how horrible anti-Afro-Svengalis is, how horrible Rev G is, how these are the people who are engaging in criminal behavior. Nobody with AFW, the legit legal AFW, has ever been associated with any criminal acts. Self-defense is not a criminal act. Free speech is not a criminal act. All through this investigation with Rev G and the situations going on with me, never once was I ever told to stop what I'm doing. Never once was I told what I was doing was illegal. Speaking of Rev G, check out this set of messages which you all sent me. And take a look at the comment from Bernice. Rev G is the worst. You know what? When that investigation went down, the local police, the FBI, They found nothing like this coming from Rev G's social media accounts and electronic devices. He was on the receiving end, Bernice, of shit like this that you're doing. The victim. Rev G is the worst. I'd say you're the worst. Knowing someone's brother has taken his life. And what do? You terrorize the person by saying you wish they were dead or kill yourself. Same difference. And you continue to say that. And you get up here on a public stage and say Rev G is the worst. You take refuge in garbage where you're existing, what you're saying, what you're doing, trying to make people think you're the victim when in fact you're a perpetrator. You're doing the same things to this victim that was done to Rev G. And it's a criminal case involving Rev G. As the victim, you are not the victim, you're the perpetrator. Rev G is the worst. Yes, he would be your worst nightmare from someone who insists on engaging in this behavior, just like the person you have been terrorizing has had enough. The worst would be you, Bernice. Absolutely want people to think something exists in the way it never did. You as the aggressor. You can't produce a single shred of evidence that anybody bullied you or harassed you. Now let me say this, when your case goes to court, that will be between you and the judge and the victim. But to come on here and try to say someone else is the worst when you're engaging in this type of behavior is vile manipulation. You can continue to try to convince yourself that you're the victim. Prove it in a court of law. Prove it by an investigation. Prove it by evidence. You can have your opinion all day long. It means nothing. Check out these other statements here. Equally asinine, leave them alone. Yeah, you should leave them alone. There is no one else out here doing what you are doing. You stand alone when you're thinking about AFW. You are the person that needs to be leaving people alone. We have our free speech. We will continue to practice our free speech. Our free speech does not include harassing people, lying on people, and sending people these messages. Now, check out this statement. The lies on this particular person who Bernice is a flunky to, and flunky has its hazards. And this is what Bernice is experiencing. Joining in and going along with people who are engaging in this type of behavior, it only falls back on you. Since we don't know exactly what Bernice is referring to, we can't really comment. I suspect Bernice doesn't want to post what she claims are lies about this person because everything that I have come on and spoken is backed up by audio or written communication. I don't come out and just speak. I speak with what I can prove. I may not bring it up here every time I talk. I can guarantee you every single thing I've said about this person has an audio and or a written form of communication originating from that person. So go ahead and post what you say is a lie. Go ahead and post it. These tactics are weak. And what they absolutely don't do is curtail our freedom of speech because we are going to speak on these issues. Nobody's going to sit around here harassing and threatening and terrorizing people and turn around and expect people to remain silent about it. No, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what we damn well please. Just like Polite was in this hearing recently, the judge told him, you do have free speech rights, but there is a limit. We're nowhere near our limit. We're allowed to come on here and speak about this bullshit. And that's what we are going to do. We're going to comment on it, whether or not we do it behind the scenes or in public. That is our right to express ourselves. And those who engage in this type of behavior never stop and think, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Perhaps this will cause me trouble. You had better believe, Bernice, the person whose name is covered up is in a whole heap of trouble. And I wonder if she's even told you about it. Again, where is this all coming from? The space of the fake AFW. All of these behaviors are clustered over in that demon soul panel, louse failed live stream. The victim got a letter from her medical provider saying that her records were indeed hacked, physically hacked, illegal access gained to her records. They have tracked down, listen to this, people, the source, and they know exactly what occurred. There are emails. These people are stupid enough to actually exchange emails about their plans. This is, people, a nightmare. Accessing somebody's medical records without permission is a federal law violation in many respects, civil and criminal. Now, let me give a point of clarity. The person even detailed that they were going to have somebody help her do this. And that's what occurred. The records were accessed with the assistance of someone else. And let me clarify something. Has an investigation verified everything A to Z yet? No. But the preliminaries point to the occurrence and the situation panning out in the manner in which this person threatened the victim. Office of the Inspector General is investigating, and there is a criminal investigation underway right now. Again, they're not associated with anti-fraud warriors, legit. They are associated with that fraud. They're associated, they hang out at, they comment in that space that has nothing to do with us. So you think about it when you look around and you get these screenshots, people complaining and whining in these whatever clips about anti-fraud warriors and anti-Afro-Spengalis. The criminal behavior is going on over there. I'm not done. Also in that space, you have a criminal case that is before the district attorney, and I'm actually a witness in that case. That person is associated over there with that group. They are not here with anti-fraud warriors, legit. That investigation involved the FBI. I was interviewed, Rev G was interviewed, and there were some other people interviewed. I'm not going to give their names. They're not going to disclose that. That is something that they decided, and we're not disclosing it for them. So there was a multi-state investigation into what occurred with Rev G. It is criminal harassment. And what ended up happening, people thought it was all fun and games attacking a black man and his family. But what they didn't realize, you got the white folks involved because you messed with their systems. You messed with their money. You had people asking questions about what the white folks were doing, and that was unacceptable. So this, I guess, could have gone on for ever and ever and ever, right? We're not done. These people actually were calling Rev G's job. People crying and whining about calling jobs. Calling Rev G's job with lies about sexual abuse. I mean, people, this goes on. I've estimated maybe 15% of what has happened has been brought to YouTube about what these people are doing. And they are associated with the fraud AFW. So consider yourselves lucky having gotten out, because many of anti-fraud warriors were participating and going around and leaving, comments in that space until they saw what was happening. And they left because they knew what was happening behind the scenes. Who the hell wants to be wrapped up in a space where you have multiple criminal investigations going on? Not only that, there is an investigation associated with this person suspected of hacking. There's email evidence. And so when the victim wanted to get some more detail, they gave the victim some detail, but they explained to the victim, you will have to file a complaint for us to really disclose. So this person has legal counsel and everything. That is in the works. People, this is not fun and games. You can talk about me all day long. You can hate us from sun up to sundown. Anti-fraud warriors are law abiding, and there is nothing you can do about that. We do not care if you dislike us. We have a mission which a good portion of it doesn't even include YouTube. And that's the thing that people have difficulty with. They want us to come over into their space where they are abusing people, where they are discriminating against people, where they are lying on people, where they are threatening people. Anti-fraud warriors don't engage in that behavior. And if people want to keep saying that, they can keep saying it. Where is your proof? I'm showing you evidence of proof right here. Somebody lying about us being bullies. One of the people who is stalking somebody, an innocent person, offline. Now listen, this is true. There are two sides to every story. But guess what's going to happen? A judge is going to decide what's going to go down. This person continues to stalk innocent victims too, this individual and her husband. This is not conduct that anti-fraud warriors would ever in a million years endorse. So I wanted to make sure everybody was fully aware of the distinction between anti-fraud warriors and imposters. Imposters who are all engaged with people with criminal charges pending, administrative charges pending, employment risk of termination based on what? Their own actions. Nobody else told any of these people to do this. They're doing it. And these are the consequences. So say whatever you want to say about anti-fraud warriors, about me. We have a lot of things that we are doing, and the goal is holding people accountable, specifically Umar Johnson, because he has encroached into the mental health field, and it is dangerous. Never did anti-fraud warriors ever tell you that we are taking on the whole world of, quote, frauds. Are you serious, people? Tell us how we can do that when you all in your communities won't even do anything about it. We're not on here taking on every single fraud and disgusting person. You all can have your whatever you want to have. We don't need to be involved with that. We cocoon ourselves over here. If people want to come over here and participate without all that garbage, with all that discrimination, with all of that threatening, you're welcome. We do not have to accept any of that here, and we will not. We are not looking for 700,000, a million subs. We have plenty of people subscribing to this channel, plenty of people contributing, giving us information. It is not wrapped up on YouTube like you all think it is. You're all wrapped up in YouTube. We have things we're doing offline. So continue living in your fantasy world that you can somehow impact what we are doing. How can you when you don't even know what we're doing? And that's why this fraud AFW situation is crashing and burning. You have nothing but a bunch of criminals with pending charges waiting them. And they're not going to come out and tell you about it. Why would they do that? We're not going to come out and tell you what's going on. They are doing all kinds of trickeries, They are perpetrating all types of trickery on people who are older than them, and these people are clueless. I'm going to be addressing that in another video, but I wanted to make sure we all were clear on the distinction between what is an anti-fraud warrior and what is a fraud and what is illegal and what is rife with criminal behavior, criminal associations, criminal investigations. The FBI, the local police in their cities, multiple times people have been accessed, and they are over in that space. Enjoy yourselves. We want nothing to do with you. We don't care what you're doing. We will take action when the line is crossed. And that is in the works. when it comes to certain people there. We collected all the screenshots, we have all the audio. When the time comes, the time comes. You're going to get caught up in a situation where you're involved with a bunch of criminals who haven't told you what they're doing. Have a nice life. We will not be doing that. We are going to remain true to our mission, which is addressing exactly what we set out to address, making sure Umar Johnson is held accountable for what he has done to our community and continues to do. In the meantime, you know the drill. Take care, special care to make sure you arm yourself with buyer beware.